Hey everybody, in this video, we're going to learn about accumulation functions. An accumulation function is a function where the independent variable is a limit of integration. For example, g of x equals the integral from a to x of f of t dt, where a is a constant and x is the independent variable. We can think of this as an area so far function. Let's take a look at this graphically. Suppose g of x equals the integral from -1 to x of f of t dt. As x varies, a different amount of area is shaded under the curve, and if we graph coordinate pairs that consist of each x value and the corresponding definite integral value, we'll get a graph of the g of x function. Let's do an example. Suppose g of x equals the integral from 0 to x of f of t dt, where f of t equals 1. We'll find several coordinate pairs and then graph them to get a picture of g of x. When x equals 0, g of x equals the integral from 0 to 0 of f of t dt, and that equals 0 because no area is shaded under the curve. When x equals 1, g of x equals the integral from 0 to 1 of f of t dt, and that equals 1 because 1 unit of area is shaded under the curve. And when x equals 2, g of x equals the integral from 0 to 2 of f of t dt, and that equals 2 because the definite integral from 0 to 2 equals 2. We can also plug in negative values for x, and when we do that, we get the following values for the definite integrals. Now we can plot the ordered pairs 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, -1, -1, etc. And we get a picture of the g of x function. And we can see that this is the line y equals x. We can also confirm this algebraically by actually solving the integral. G of x equals the integral from 0 to x of 1 dt. If we find the antiderivative, we get t, and we'll evaluate that from 0 to x. And if we apply the fundamental theorem of calculus, we get x minus 0, which is just x. So g of x equals x. Note that when we actually solve the integral, the variable t vanishes. T is just a dummy variable inside the f function, and its purpose is to help us distinguish between the variable x as a limit of integration and the function f of t. In any case, the variable t will vanish when we actually solve the integral. Let's look at another example. Suppose g of x is the integral from 0 to x of 2t dt. Let's find some ordered pairs on the graph of g. When x equals -2, the definite integral from 0 to -2 of f of t dt equals 4. And when x equals -1, the integral from 0 to -1 of f of t dt equals 1. Here's a few more for reference. G of 0 equals 0, g of 1 equals 1, and g of 2 equals 4. We can plot these points, and then we'll see the g of x function, which is a parabola. Let's confirm this algebraically. If we take the integral from 0 to x of 2t dt, we get t squared, which we'll evaluate from 0 to x. And when we apply the fundamental theorem of calculus, we get x squared minus 0, which is just x squared. That means g of x equals x squared. Now you may be wondering what would happen if we change the lower limit of integration. Let's look at an example. Suppose g of x is the integral from 1 to x of 2t dt. When we integrate this, we get t squared, and we'll evaluate that from 1 to x. Then we'll apply the fundamental theorem, and that gives us x squared minus 1 squared, which equals x squared minus 1. So g of x equals x squared minus 1. Let's look at another example. Suppose g of x equals the integral from 2 to x of 2t dt. When we integrate, we get t squared, which we'll evaluate from 2 to x, and that gives us x squared minus 2 squared, which equals x squared minus 4. So if we now take this same example and make the lower limit of integration c, we'll get x squared minus c squared as the final answer. So now we can look at this more generally. Suppose g of x is the integral from c to x of f of t dt. Well, the antiderivative of little f of t is just capital F of t, which we'll evaluate from c to x. And when we apply the fundamental theorem of calculus, we get capital F of x minus capital F of c. So it's worth pointing out that the lower limit of integration changes the antiderivative capital F of x by minus f of c. In the next video, we'll look at how to find derivatives of accumulation functions. For now, make sure you understand the big idea that an accumulation function is a function where the independent variable is a limit of integration. And that's how you rock